أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حميم والكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة مباركة إنا كنا منذرين فيها يفرق كل أمر حكيم أمرا من عندنا إنا كنا مرسلين رحمة من ربك إنه هو السميع العليم. رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إن كنتم موقنين لا إله إلا هو يحيي ويميت ربكم ورب آبائكم الأولين بل هم في شك يلعبون فارتقب يوم تأتي السماء بدخان مبين يغشى الناس هذا عذاب أليم ربنا اكشف عنا العذاب إنا مؤمنون أنى لهم الذكرى وقد جاءهم رسول مبين ثم تولوا عنه وقالوا معلم مجنون إنا كاشف العذاب قليلا إنكم عائدون يوم نبطش البطشة الكبرى إنا منتقمون ولقد فتنا قبلهم قوم فرعون وجاءهم رسول كريم أن أدوا إلي عباد الله إني لكم رسول أمين وألا تعلوا على الله إني آتيكم بسلطان مبين وإني عذت بربي وربكم أن ترجمون وإن لم تؤمنوا لي فاعتزلون فدعا ربه أن هؤلاء قوم مجرمون فأسر بعبادي ليلا إنكم متبعون واترك البحر رهوا إنهم جند مغرقون كم تركوا من جنات وعيون وزروع ومقام كريم ونعمة كانوا فيها فاكهين كذلك وأورثناها قوما آخرين فما بكت عليهم السماء والأرض وما كانوا منظرين ولقد نجينا بني إسرائيل من العذاب المهين من فرعون إنه كان عاليا من المسرفين ولقد اخترناهم على علم على العالمين وآتيناهم من الآيات ما فيه بلاء مبين إن هؤلاء ليقولون إن هي إلا موتتنا الأولى وما نحن بمنشرين فأتوا بآبائنا إن كنتم صادقين أهم خير أم قوم تبع والذين من قبلهم أهلكناهم إنهم كانوا مجرمين وما خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما لاعبين ما خلقناهما إلا بالحق ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون إن يوم الفصل ميقاتهم أجمعين يوم لا يغني مولى عن مولى شيئا ولا هم ينصرون إلا من رحم الله إنه هو العزيز الرحيم إن شجرة الزقوم طعام الأثيم كالمهل يغلي في البطون كغلي الحميم خذوه فاعتلوه إلى سواء الجحيم ثم صبوا فوق رأسه من عذاب الحميم ذق إنك أنت العزيز الكريم إن هذا ما كنتم به تمترون إن المتقين في مقام أمين في جنات وعيون يلبسون من سندس وإستبرق متقابلين
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our Thursday Night Live program. Tonight what we're going to do inshallah is we're going to be having a Qur'an study portion just like in the previous programs, but then after that because the 25th of Shawwal which was the Shahadah anniversary of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, in order to commemorate that inshallah I'll be mentioning a few words about the life and personality of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. And then after that inshallah we're going to be having the dua program. We're going to be reciting 1/3 of the dua communal, the first third, and then inshallah after that we're going to okay, let's see if we can fix this on saying that the mic is not loud enough. Okay, is this better? No, can you check the settings on the microphone and the input in the system? Okay, turn up the volume, the input volume right there. No, the input volume. Yeah. Okay, this should be much better now, inshallah. Okay, thanks for letting us know okay, great. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so inshallah, we're going to be having Qur'an study and then some words about Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, dua, musibah, and then we're going to be having an interactive Slido quiz, and then inshallah having a discussion. So you can go ahead and join us on slido.com #hashtag ilham, and then inshallah you can participate. So last week we got a chance to look at the first verse that talked about the story of the Mala of Bani Israel. Mala are those people who fill the eyes and the hearts of the people, and they had come to their prophet. They were asked, they had a request. They had been exiled from their own home, and they were separated from their own families. Their children were taken prisoners, and so these elite folk, they came to the prophet and they said that appoint for us some leader who can lead us back to our homes. We want to go back to the lifestyle that we had before. And their prophet, in answering them, he wanted to guide them, because that's the job of the prophet. He wanted to correct their perspective. He wanted to give them a prescription for what would lead to their success. He didn't want to just have one of those endeavors where it just flops after some time. And so he asked them about their motivation, and he asked them, like, how determined are they in this intention that they had? Are they going to actually put their own efforts, and are they going to sacrifice in order to achieve this goal? Today we're going to look at the next verse from Surah Al-Baqarah. So let's go ahead and turn to the presentation. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We can listen to the recitation of verse number 247 of Surah Al-Baqarah, and while you can go ahead and listen and read the translation in the meantime.
وقال لهم نبيهم إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا قالوا أنى يكون له الملك علينا ونحن أحق بالملك منه ولم يؤت سعة من المال قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم والله يؤتي ملكه من يشاء والله واسع عليم.
صدق الله العلي العظيم. So their request was answered. They came to the prophet, they had a request. The prophet wanted to get them to think about why are they asking, what is their intention. And then after some time, he says to them that Allah has appointed Saul as a king over you. Saul is the biblical and English name for Talut. Talut is going to be your ruler. Talut is going to be your king. Now, you would think that they would be happy because this is from God, and this is one step along the way to success. This is one step towards achieving the victory that they're looking for. But rather than responding with thankfulness, they say that how can he have kingship over us when we have a greater right to kingship than him, as he has not been given a lot of wealth. he said, meaning the Prophet told them, indeed Allah has chosen him over you and enhanced him greatly in knowledge and strength. Allah gives his kingdom to whomever he wishes, and Allah is all bounteous and all knowing. So let's go ahead and look a little bit deeper at this verse, try to understand some of the finer points, and then inshallah reflect upon some of its messages. So, vocabulary. Their response to the Prophet is that we are ahaq. We are, loosely translated, more deserving. Now let's try to understand a little bit more about this word ahaq. Ahaq comes from, as you can probably guess, the word haq. Normally we think of haq as being truth. But in the Arabic language, like all words, there's a deep meaning to every word. So let's try to understand this. One of the examples that's given to understand haq is, imagine that somebody is trying to put a door in its place. That place where you fit a door into, like its hinges and its pivot, that's called a haq in Arabic. Now, when you put the door properly in its place, then it's going to swing correctly. It's going to stay straight. It's not going to be the case that like when it swings out, part of it's going to be touching the floor, or it's just going to get shut and not really move properly. Putting it in its haq is putting it properly, meaning like matching it up to the way it ought to be. So something is haq when it matches with the way it ought to be, when it actually is matching with reality. So when we're talking about something being a haq, not a haq as in English, but a haq as in Arabic, meaning more deserving, it means that it's more proper. They felt that they were more deserving and more proper. They were more suitable as candidates for being the leader amongst themselves. So they came to the Prophet and they're like pretty sure that the Prophet is going to appoint a leader amongst them. Maybe before, like some of the Mufassirin have speculated, they couldn't decide on a leader amongst themselves. Everyone wanted to be the leader. But they said, okay, let the Prophet settle it for us. And the Prophet went and he chose someone who was outside of that group. And he said, Talut is going to be the one who's going to be your leader. Now, not only is he outside of their group, but he's also somebody that they don't consider to be worthy of being a leader because he's not rich like they are. And Allah says that Talut is somebody that he gave a lot of knowledge and a lot of strength to. Now, this isn't the only verse in the Qur'an where Allah uses this expression about that Allah says that he increased him in knowledge, he increased him in strength. In the Qur'an in general, this is the way that Allah describes how it is that a human being grows. A lot of times when we talk about learning, we're like, yeah, I learned how to solve this equation. I learned this new way of expressing this new language construct. And we think of knowledge as just being something that comes to us. Or we're like, oh, I got stronger, or I developed myself. It's all about me. But from the Quranic perspective, it's about Allah. And then they use the word sa'atan. They say that, how can Talut be the leader when he doesn't have a sa'atan min al-mal? Sa'atan comes from the word wasi'a, meaning when it's something which is not restricted, it's wide, it's expansive, it's not limited. Sa'atan meaning that anybody who is a leader from their perspective should be somebody who has lots of wealth. Now, it's interesting that the Prophet answers them by saying that Allah is wasi'un alim, meaning that he's using that same word. He's trying to change their perspective on what does it mean to be wasi. Is it when you, on your own, you have a lot? Or is it when you're supported by Allah, who doesn't have any constraints? So now let's look at some questions that might come up from this verse. First of all, how did the elite, meaning the mala, because they're the ones who are talking to the Prophet, how did they understand what the haq, the truth was? From their perspective, when they're saying we are a haq, we are a better, think about that door that's being fitted. We're a better fit for being the ruler. What was their perspective? Well, they looked at themselves and they said that we're the standard for what's right and what's wrong. And it's a very common thing that a common error that people fall into. They look at themselves and are like, you know what, if anyone's got to be anything, it's got to be like me. And it's very hard for somebody to admit that they are something different than the truth. They are away from the truth. So they looked at themselves as the standard, and also they thought that family ties and worldly possessions meant that they had the right to rule, because they're like, well, it has to come from within us, within our families, not from the family of Talut, not somebody who doesn't have wealth like we do. Why does the Prophet say that Allah has appointed Saul as a king for you? Well, this goes back to something we talked about last week, that he wanted to show them that it's not up to him to decide. They went to the Prophet and said that you appoint a leader for us. He wanted to tell them that leadership is something that Allah decides. And then, what does this verse show us about their intentions in asking for help? Why did they come to the Prophet? Well, their intentions weren't pure. It wasn't like that they were motivated purely by like justice and injustice. They're like, how can Goliath come, this giant, and just take away our families? No, there was some vested interest they had. They had some self-interest in wanting for Goliath to be defeated. They wanted to be the ones who were the leaders. And what does the use of the words sa'a and wasi' teach us about supposed limitations? Things that we see as barriers are not barriers for Allah. Yes, lam yu'ata sa'ata min al-mal. Talut or Saul didn't have a whole bunch of wealth, but he was supported by Allah, who is wasi'. And in that case, he would never come across any obstacles that he couldn't overcome. Success was guaranteed for him. So let's look at some points of reflection. So the same thing from last week. What was positive about these elite people described in these verses, and what was negative? They at least had enough of faith to go to their Prophet, to ask him for help. They realized when they needed to turn to God for assistance. But they had some things that incorrect about their perspective. They didn't understand the concept of leadership, from the perspective of a believer. And also, we can see now that their intentions are not pure. What does this verse teach us about the qualities needed for the leader of a society? Talut, who the Prophet of the time is saying is your leader, he's described as having two qualities. One of them is ilm, and one of them is bastatan fil jism, meaning that he was somebody who had a lot of knowledge, and he was somebody who had a lot of strength. Both of these are important from a perspective of a leader, the overall leader of a society. They need to know how to guide people towards perfection, because from an Islamic perspective, that's what a leader is supposed to do. The leader is not supposed to. It's not supposed to be about like getting people in order to assist them in attaining their own personal goals. It's about the leader trying to help people to attain their goals, which is to attain perfection. So he needs to have knowledge. He needs to have the ability and capability to guide them towards that goal. Also, what can we learn from these stories about how to help movements for justice achieve true success? Well, we learned some points last week, and this week we're adding to the lessons we're learning from the Qur'an based on this short study and reflection. We're learning about the importance of intention. We're learning about the importance of looking not to ourselves to define what are measures of truth and what are measures of privilege and success. We're looking to look beyond ourselves and not use ourselves and our own understanding as a yardstick for what's right and what's wrong. Okay, so with that, we're going to end the slideshow presentation. Before we go to the dua, I wanted to spend a few minutes discussing a few points from the life of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. If we can have a salawat, please. Okay, so the truth is that if we wanted to do justice to talking about Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, we would need much more than just a few minutes on a live stream. We would need a long time, and even that wouldn't be enough, because Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is an Imam of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. He was not just in terms of who he was somebody who was very, very special for us. He was Sadiqu Ali Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. He was, in some of the expressions we find in the words of the ulama, we see that he was Shaykhul A'imma. Because Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was the one who was credited for establishing the madhab of the Shia firmly and for spreading the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. He continued the mission of Baqiru Ulum al-Anbiya, meaning the Imam Baqir, his father. He continued that mission, and he was able to spread even further, and that's evidenced by the tens of thousands of ahadith that we have from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in all areas. It was only when I got the chance to spend some time in the Hawza and see how is it that the great ulama would speak about Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that I got a bit of inclination as to like how we should feel indebted towards Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, meaning that we should feel very, very grateful towards him. Because after all, there's nothing more precious than knowledge. Knowledge is the greatest of treasures. And the one who gave us that knowledge, which is the most precious, is Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. There's so many beautiful traditions from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. There's so many beautiful ahadith, stories from his life, from the things that he taught, that it's just amazing. I was just thinking today about some of the things in different areas, in akhlaq and fiqh and history and other areas where we have traditions of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. It's truly profound. So I can't pretend to do justice to the topic, but I just want to mention a couple of things regarding Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. We could have talked about his political struggles. We could have talked about, the types of students that he was able to train. We could talk about his interaction with the leaders of the other madahib. But what I want to focus on is just a few points. First of all, the Imam's akhlaq. One of the things that we see in the life of the Imam alayhi salam is that he was very keen on those who claim that they follow him, that they should do so in their actions, meaning that they should show in their akhlaq that they are Ja'fari. There's different traditions around this. One of them, in one of the cases, one of his companions tells him that, "Oh Abu Abdullah," because the name of Imam Sadiq was Abu Abdullah, he says, "Oh Abu Abdullah, when people come to know that we are your followers, we get troubled." So Imam alayhi salam asks him, how is that the case? Like, what do you mean by that? So this companion clarifies for him. He says to him that when people come to know that we are associated with you, then they start to make fun of us. They say that you're Ja'fari, you're one of the followers of him, kind of like as if you're kind of considered to be like a heretic. You're one of those, like you're one of the Shias. So what the Imam alayhi salam responds to him, he says that if that's what you're facing, then that's something which is actually quite little. Ma aqal. That's something which is very little. If that's all, it's just that you have to face that some people are kind of telling you that you're associated with them, that's something which is not actually that big of a deal. What does he say then? He says that how few are those who actually follow Ja'far from amongst you. He says, إِنَّمَا أَصْحَابِي مَنِ اشْتَدَّ وَرَعُهُ وَعَمِلَ لِخَالِقِهِ وَرَجَى ثَوَابَهُ فَهَؤُلَاءِ أَصْحَابِي. He says that this type of thing of just saying that you're associated with Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that doesn't make you one of my followers. What really matters and what you should be focused on is putting that into your action. My true companions are those whose wara', their taqwa, is very severe, like they have a high level. And those who do their actions for the sake of their creator and they have reward. It doesn't concern them what other people are saying. That's not important to them. They're doing what's right for the sake of Allah's reward. They are my companions. In another hadith, he says that when you interact with others, whether they be other people, other Muslims, he says that go and, especially when it comes to other Muslims, he says go and when one of their family members passes away, go and attend their funerals. And he says that go and visit their sick and give them their rights. And then he says if one of you has taqwa and is particular in his practice of religion and is truthful when he speaks and gives the amana, is trustworthy, and his akhlaq is good with the people, and it is said about them that he is Ja'fari, that is something that makes me happy. Meaning that I get happy when people will refer to you and say that this person is Ja'fari on account of your akhlaq. And he himself was the example for this. There's a beautiful story of how the Imam alayhi salam, he used to have one of his companions who always would be seen with him. He was somebody who was he was a black man. Okay, and he was one of the devout companions of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So the Imam alayhi salam, one time this companion of his name isn't mentioned in the tradition, his companion went missing for some time. So the Imam alayhi salam, we see this in the lives of the prophets, the Prophet and the Imams, that when one of their close companions would go missing, that they wouldn't see them for a while, they would ask about them. They kept track of those who were tight with them, those who were close to them. They cared about them. So the Imam alayhi salam asked that, where is he? I want to know where he is. Now one of the other people who was there, he sarcastically said, "Innahu nabati." Okay, now nabati was a word that was used for Arabs who were not fair-skinned. Either they were from like a mixed race, or they were from like a certain part of Iraq where in general people's skin was darker. They were known, even according to some definitions, for not speaking pure Arabic. "Innahu nabati," somebody said. Now how did the Imam alayhi salam respond to this comment of this man? He says that Aslur rajuli aqluhu wa hasabuhu dinuhu wa karamuhu taqwahu wa nasu fi adam mustawun fastaha dhalika qail. So he says that what makes up a man's, like, what defines somebody isn't their nationality. What defines them is their aql. Okay, how is it that they use this gift that Allah has given them? And what matters isn't their family ties, but what matters is the practice of their religion. And their honor is in their taqwa. And everyone is a child of Adam, and all of them are equal in that respect. And so the person who said that, he became ashamed. So the Imam Islam did a public rebuke of him. This is just one, brothers and sisters, of many ahadith that we have where the Imams would speak out against discrimination. Right? They would stomp it in the ground. They would say that this type of thinking is batil, this is jahili thinking. Right? What matters is the skin color or your nationality or your race. This is a very shallow way of thinking. Islam teaches us a much higher way of dealing with individuals. There's much that we could say, but I want to end just by saying one thing, that there's a famous hadith which is known as the hadith of Unwan al-Basri, of this one 94-year-old man who at that point in his life, he comes to know about Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And he's entranced by him. He just wants to be with him. He wants to learn from him. And he realizes that his whole life, whatever he's learned, it hasn't been proper. But when he goes to the Imam alayhi salam and he tells him that, "Oh Abu Abdullah, I want to learn from you the same way that I have been learning from Malik ibn Anas." Malik ibn Anas was considered one of the heads of the Sunni madhahib at that time. Malik ibn Anas, by the way, is somebody who had a lot of respect for Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, but he still had his own kind of way of thinking, and he would have his own opinions, even though he felt indebted to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So Unwan al-Basri, he goes to Imam Sadiq, he says that, "I want to learn from you the same way that I was learning from Malik ibn Anas." The Imam alayhi salam tells him that, "No, just go and learn from Malik. Right? I don't have time. If you want, that's the way you wanted to do things, then you can just go learn from him." And Unwan al-Basri, when he leaves the Imam's home, he's very disappointed, and he goes home and he says to himself that if the Imam had seen any good in me, then he wouldn't have rejected my request for learning from him. It is only after Unwan al-Basri goes to the grave of the Prophet and he does tawassul to him, and he goes back to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that the Imam alayhi salam accepts him. He wanted to teach Unwan that this approach where you're going to take something from this person and take something from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, that's not a valid approach to take. So what I want to say tonight, and this is my statement to the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, is that let it not be the case that I am amongst those that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, if I go to them and I say that I want you, they tell me that no, you're not truthful in your request. Go back to those that you really respect. Go back to those that you really are learning from. I don't want to be one of those. I want to be one of those with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They welcome me with their open arms. And so this is a lesson for us. Inshallah, we can be those that the Ahlul Bayt see goodness in us, and that we're not attached to any type of other types of thinking or schools of thought or ideologues or false idols that would take us away from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. So inshallah we're going to begin the dua portion at this time. As part of the Masaib that follows the dua, I'm going to be reciting the Musibah for Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. Oh Allah, it's Thursday night. I come to you seeking your mercy and your forgiveness. I know I have a mountain of sin that's weighing me down, but I have hope in your mercy, Ya Allah. You are the one who have promised, Ud'uni astajib lakum. Call upon me, I am answering you. If only, Ya Allah, my heart was pure. I wasn't tied and attached to all the false idols. I would realize that whom do I have to call upon besides you, Ya Allah? And all my du'as will be answered by you. Oh Allah, help me on this night. You are the one whose beautiful names permeate all things. You are the creator, the sustainer. Grant me that knowledge to see you in everything around me, so I'm never in a state of negligence regarding you. Allahumma ghfir li kulla dhanbin adhnabtu. Oh Allah, forgive every sin that I ever committed. وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته. My situation isn't very good. My need is severe. I don't know if I'm going to even survive to the next moment. Perhaps this is the night that the end of my life will come, Ya Allah. I have great need of your forgiveness, Ya Allah. When I leave this world, I want to leave in a state of submission to you, with you pleased with me, with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam pleased with me. Allahumma wa as'aluka su'ala man ishtaddat faqatuh wa anzala bika 'inda ash-shada'idi hajatah وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائحي ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته وكم من فادح من البلاء أقلته وكم من عثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد أملي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومطالي. يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. I ask you, Ya Allah, to be compassionate to me in all matters. You are the one who is the Satir. In this world, you cover my deeds. People imagine that I am a committer of good acts, but I know myself better, Ya Allah. I don't want to be deceived by this world. I don't want to be deceived by my nafs. I want to come to terms with reality, Allah. I know what I have done, but I'm asking you for your forgiveness. I'm asking you for the strength to obey you and to never disobey you. وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترز فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك وخالفت بعض أوامرك فلك الحجة علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك والزمني حكمك وبلاؤك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة رحمتك اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري وفكني من شدي وثاقي يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالفي برك بي صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين Today we're commemorating the Shahadah of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam lived a life where he was constantly persecuted by the Khulafa of the Umayyads and Bani Abbas. Time and time again, they decided to do something to injure the Imam, to trap him, to assassinate him. But every time they tried to do so, the Imam alayhi salam was able to resist them. One time, Mansur, the Khalifa, la'natullahi alayhi, ordered that the house of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam be burnt down to the ground. They had learned how to attack the Ahlul Bayt from the time of Sayyidah Fatima alayha salam. Even their homes weren't safe from their enemies. In Karbala, they went for the tents with their fire. Here they went for the home of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. They wanted to burn it down. But after the house had caught in fire, they saw the Imam walking amongst the fire untouched. He was saying that I am the son of Ibrahim Khalilullah, telling them that just like Ibrahim alayhi salam was saved from the fire, do you imagine that I cannot be saved as such? The Imam lived a long life, spreading the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, teaching people about Haqq versus Batil, preparing the grounds for eventually the Imam of the time to do his Qiyam. But eventually the Khulafa saw that this was something they could not tolerate. They had the Imam eat some poison grapes. The poison entered the body of the Imam alayhi salam. He became weaker and weaker. One of his dear companions went to visit him at this time. He could barely look at the Imam. He had been so affected by the poison. He began to weep profusely. The Imam asks him, "Why are you crying?" His companion tells him, "I'm crying because of what you are going through." The Imam tells him that this is the life of the believer. Whatever Allah brings for him, he takes it patiently. He is satisfied with the decree of his Lord. When the Imam alayhi salam breathes his last in this world, Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam wraps him in the same ihram that he used to wear for Hajj. He takes his blessed body to Jannatul Baqi to be buried next to his father and his grandfathers. He buries with him one of the robes that his grandfather Imam Sajjad alayhi salam used to wear. Later, Abu Basir, one of the companions of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he wishes to pay condolences to the wife of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He asks her, "Did the Imam alayhi salam say anything in the state of ihtidar when he was leaving the world?" She says that yes, before he left, he opened his eyes, he called all of his family to him. He told them one thing. He said, "Our shafa'ah will not reach those amongst you who take their prayers lightly." May Allah Ta'ala protect us from not receiving the shafa'ah of the Ahlul Bayt in the hereafter. One of the characteristics of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is that he used to love to remember his grandfather Imam Hussein. When the name of Hussein was mentioned, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was frequently seen crying. He would call him the Qatil al-Abara, the one who was killed on account of the tears that will be shed for him. When Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman with a group of his companions go to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Yunus tells him, "O Imam, I frequently think of Imam Hussein. What should I say when I think of him?" The Imam tells him, "When you think of Imam Hussein, 3 times say the following: Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah." He tells Yunus that if you send salam to Imam Hussein, whether you are near him or you are far away, definitely the Imam will hear your salam and he will respond to you. On this night, we send our salam to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and on the noble martyrs who are buried with him in Karbala. One time, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam invited a poet to remember and remind the family of the Ahlul Bayt about the tragedy of Imam Hussein. Soon enough, the cries began, the tears were shed. The spies who were watching the house of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, they wanted to catch the poet. They wanted to do something to prevent the remembrance of Imam Hussein. They knock on the door. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam comes to the door and asks them, "What is the matter?" They say that we heard the people of this home crying. Let it not be the case that you were remembering Imam Hussein. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam tells them that we were just remembering one of our young children who was ill and then he passed away. The spies leave Imam Sadiq alayhi salam alone, but Allama Majlisi says that perhaps Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was doing tawriyah. What actually happened was that the poet was reminding them about the musibah of a young child of Imam Hussein who was in need of something to drink. On the day of Ashura, in the dry sands of Karbala, perhaps Imam Sadiq alayhi salam with his family were remembering the musibah of Ali Asghar. Perhaps they were remembering how Imam Hussein alayhi salam took his young baby in his arms. He could barely cry anymore. The thirst had overcome him. He holds this baby to the enemy. It's the last test of their humanity. إن لم ترحموني فارحموا هذا الطفل. If you don't have any mercy upon me, then have mercy upon my baby. We send our apologies to the Imam of our time, Imam al-Hujjah. Certainly when he thinks of these tragedies, it must be heartbreaking for him. Harmala wants to answer the cry of the Imam with an arrow. He pulls it out, he aims it at the tender neck of the baby. This is the response of the soldiers of Yazid. The baby's cry is heard one moment, and then it's pierced with the arrow. The cry comes in the sky, "Oh Hussein, leave him. There is someone to feed him in Jannah." Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Oh Allah, we ask you to accept this majlis from us, this musibah, and we ask you to make us among those who are considered the followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, that our actions, our akhlaq, our beliefs are things that are sources of pleasure for the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, and that we are considered Ja'fari and Fatimi and Hassani and Husayni and Alawi and Mahdawi. We ask you, Ya Allah, to forgive us for our sins and to forgive our parents. We ask you, Ya Allah, to make us firm in our faith and to strengthen our taqwa. We ask you to remove the bala that is facing us. We ask you to cure those who are ill. We ask you to grant the mu'mineen their hajat. We ask you to help those who are oppressed, those who are suffering so much, especially in face of the pandemic and so much global oppression, whether they be in Yemen or in Syria. or in occupied Palestine, or Kashmir, or anywhere else in the world. We ask you, Allah, to help those who are oppressed and to grant them victory over the oppressors. We ask you, Allah, to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and to make us those who strive to await him in an active manner. We ask you, Ya Allah, to help and protect those who are serving the cause of truth and Islam and justice, especially the Maraja and especially the Islamic leadership. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi al-tahirin. تقبل الله أعمالكم. Before we start the quiz presentation for tonight, let's take a look at a bit of the artwork that was submitted by some of our regular viewers. I forgot to actually request you all to submit poetry or thoughts or reflections or video clips or artwork last week, but alhamdulillah, some of you still went ahead and did that. So first I want to show you the artwork submitted by Siraj Jafri from Brampton, Ontario. If we can take a look at that. So he titled his work, let's see, he titled his work, he said that we can see the blessings of Allah everywhere we look. And then he has the verse of the Qur'an from Surah Ar-Rahman, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. This is a hand drawn painting and it's very beautiful. MashaAllah, thank you so much, Siraj, for your contribution. And the next one is from Hashir Jafri, who is also from Brampton, Ontario, and he has a beautiful, I think it's a watercolor. I think the other one was like charcoal or something, or sketch or something, pencil. His watercolor here, and he has said, it is Allah who has made the earth a resting place and the sky a canopy, has given you shape and has made your shapes beautiful and has provided you with sustenance from the Qur'an. And you can see even the reflection of the colors, the spring colors in the water. Thank you so much, Hashir. And the next one is from Sayyid Ali Dibaj Jafri, also from Brampton, Ontario. And just like last week, last week he had the drawing, the hand drawing of Sheikh Ibrahim as-Zakzaki. So he wanted you to guess this week's drawing as well. It's one from one of the great scholars, and it's very fitting because it's we're remembering Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and of course along with that is the scholarly tradition of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam and some of the great ulama. So which great alim is this? If you can put that into the YouTube chat window, let's see if you guys can come up with his name. And yes, we have it. Thank you so much, Kashaf. She got it. It's Shahid Mutahari. What a beautiful drawing. Thank you so much, Brother Dibaj. Excellent. Mashallah. Thank you so much. Okay. So with that, and thank you, S. Jafri, as well. What we're going to do now is let's go to the Slido.com quiz. Inshallah, I hope all of you guys can participate just like in previous weeks. Please sign in, and the whole family can participate, each one of you on your own device. And inshallah, it will be a learning experience. So just like previous weeks, the first question is regarding a verse from the Qur'an that you're going to be hearing. Please listen carefully to the verse. Try to get a gist of what it's talking about. I know that you might not get all the words, but you should be able to get a general idea of what it's talking about. Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
وأقم الصلاة طرفي النهار وزلفا من الليل إن الحسنات يذهبن السيئات ذلك ذكرى للذاكرين.
Okay, so I know that some of you are still logging in, so we're going to listen to it. Can you turn up the volume so that we can hear it as well too? You can't do that? Okay. All right, so then maybe we can play it on the device, on the phone. Okay, so go ahead, yeah. Let's listen to it one more time.
وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ طَرَفَيِ النَّهَارِ وَزُلَفًا مِّنَ اللَّيْلِ إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ ذَلِكَ ذِكْرَى لِلذَّاكِرِينَ.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead now and begin first question. Okay, wait, I need to launch that first question. Let me see. What happened to it? Wait, it's coming. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Okay, Bismillah. Which of the following is true according to hadith about the ayah you just heard? It's actually one of the famous ayat of the Qur'an. So which one of these is true regarding that verse? So I'll give you a hint. It had something to do with salah. But sometimes my hints aren't so good. They're actually misleading. So. Okay, looks like this was a tough one. I'm sorry. So actually the correct answer here is, it is the most hope-giving verse in the Quran. Why is that? Because the verse says, Innal hasanati yudhibna sayyat, meaning that Allah says that one of the ways of erasing the effects of the bad deeds that we perform is through the good deeds that we perform. And it's a beautiful concept. There's a lot of hope there, because sometimes, we look at like the sins we commit, we feel like, okay, oh my God, like how am I ever going to erase my heart of these? But Allah promises us that of the concept of takfir, that the good deeds that we perform can wipe out these evil deeds. And one of the examples of the good deeds is salah itself. And so yes, the verse had to do with salah, but it was in the context of it being one of these good deeds that has this incredible effect that it can wipe out the consequences of bad deeds. Okay. Now, second question, sa'atan, ahaq, wasi' and talut. These were 4 words that were in the verse that we went through in the Qur'an study. What do they mean? Okay, so I guess it was a bit difficult. So the correct answer is B. A lot is sa'atan, more deserving, haq, wasi', not limited, and talut is another word, is the Arabic version of Saul. Okay, next question. For how many reasons did the elite feel that they should be in charge based on the verse that we just went through today? 0, 1, 2, or 3. This should be really easy. Okay, great. Most of you said 2, and that is exactly correct. They thought they should be in charge because of their family background and their ethnicity or their tribe, and also because of their wealth. And the last question in this section has to do with last week, I think. When the elite asked their prophet for a leader to help them win back their homeland, what does the Quran tell us about how he responded? Meaning how the prophet responded. Choose carefully. Oh, seems like this one was a tricky one. So the correct answer is, what if you are asked to join the resistance? I mean, like if you're asked to fight, then are you going to fight or are you going to back down? Okay, so now that we're halfway through the quiz, let's look at the leaderboard. We have Sister Razia and Sister Maryam. and they are at the top at 4 out of 4 points, and then we have a good 5 or 6 people at 3 out of 4, but it's not over till it's over. So let's see what happens in the remainder of the quiz. Next question is an ahkam question. We try to have one of these each week. Playing a game with standard playing cards, meaning like the king, queen, jack, ace, those cards, 52 card deck, is which of the following? Yeah, this is a bit tricky, I know, but I just want to make sure that it's not too easy, Okay, the correct answer here is actually the first, second, and third choices, meaning that playing it, even if betting is not allowed, if you're playing with somebody else, then it's not allowed because it's considered to be an instrument of gambling, even though we might not be gambling with it. That's how severe the prohibition is when it comes to instruments of gambling. Now, the only potential exception is when somebody's playing against the computer, but even there, some of the marajis say it's ihtiyat wajib to avoid that. Others would say that it's allowed as long as no sinfulness is associated with that. Now, unfortunately, these days, a lot of those type of games, they're just ways of getting people introduced to gambling games. And first they give you the free things, and then they try to rope you in to some of the more gambling games. But anyway, the point I wanted to make was that even if somebody's not gambling, if they're playing with somebody else, it's not allowed. And I know that it was a bit tricky, so forgive me for that. Okay, current events. Executives from this company were charged with sending cockroaches and a fetus of a pig to the writer of a newsletter they didn't like. This just happened a couple of days ago. I mean, the news broke about it just a couple of days ago. Oh, this one was tough. Okay, so the correct answer here is actually eBay. Okay, and you gotta wonder, even the former CEO and people who are, had high positions and all that, they would go to this extent of sending live cockroaches in the mail to somebody they didn't like. Okay, the last question. Yesterday, the U.S. imposed sanctions on this country. Critics say that the sanctions will affect the common people and make a humanitarian crisis even worse. Okay, and it's really sad. I mean, it's not covered in the news, but there's millions of people in this country who are demonstrating against the sanctions. And the answer is Syria. Okay, so we have to make sure to pray for all the oppressed in this world. Now, so we're now done with the quiz. Let's take a look at our leaderboard. We have Batul R at number 1, and Sister Razia at 2, and MEZ and Haura and Hania at 3, 4, and 5. And then we also have Maryam R and Faisal R with 4 out of 7 points, and many others who also did well, alhamdulillah. And at the end of the day, it's not about the points anyway, right? It's about the learning experience. So with that, we're going to finish that now. The last portion of our program for tonight is if you go to the idea section of Slido. Okay, so here's the question for you guys. This question actually was given to me in a conversation I was having with the Ilham magazine team, and they suggested this, and I thought it was a really good suggestion. I would like to hear from you about any experience that you may have had or witnessed regarding racism, either in your, let's say, workplace, or in your center, in a mosque, in your neighborhood. So just the idea is that we want to hear the voices, we want to actually realize that this is a reality. Okay, it's not just something that other people are talking about, we're talking about it as well. So what are some experiences that you may have had facing racism in your neighborhood, in your workplace, in school, in the mosque? Okay, if you can put that in. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to work in this forum, but let's try. Okay, let's see. So you can put that in the ideas. In the meantime, to answer Razia Hashim's question, what was the ayah in the first question? It was وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ طَرَفَيِ النَّهَارِ وَزُلَفًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ ذَلِكَ ذِكْرَى لِلذَّاكِرِينَ. It's Surah Hud 11:114. Okay, so we have Anonymous saying, ugly looks, excessive staring into the car while my mom was driving wearing hijab. Someone from the masjid, Fatima Zahra, someone from the masjid told me not to be friends with a black Muslim sister because she might steal from me. Okay. Alright, racial profiling from the US Customs when traveling, for sure. Not towards me, but a cousin of mine married a black man and the community was very cold and rude towards him. So we have about, I think, 50 or so people on, or 50 or so families on the live stream tonight, and we can see that even amongst them, we are having these incidents come up, and I'm sure that some of you are still in the process of typing. We have lifting of the finger, no reason at all besides the fact that I was wearing a hijab. Okay, what else? You can also upvote any one of these if you want to give it more prominence. You can upvote it and it will go to the top. A new black student entered my honors class and the teacher had to verify with the office to make sure the student is in the correct class despite the schedule. Okay, I was not allowed to rent an apartment in the US and the landlord said that they would not rent to someone like that. Wow. Okay. I believe that this would be considered colorism, racism in the Pakistani community. The kids are bullied by adults for darker skin and fairness. Creams are promoted, most definitely. I've heard horror stories about that, especially towards girls and women. While you guys are putting in your things, why would Allah not choose the Prophet as the king but Talut? So Allah did choose the Prophet as the leader, overall leader for the people, but the Prophet, for whatever reason, he wasn't the one who was going to be the military commander and the one who was going to be on the ground. He was going to be the spiritual guide and the one who was providing overall direction to that commander, but it wasn't within his capability. According to these stories, he was elderly at that time and he was weaker, and so it didn't make sense for him to be that one who would be both the prophet and also be the one on the ground. But we do find that his successor, who was Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, he was both the prophet and the leader on the ground. My school's neighboring school bullied us because we're Shia, discrimination by some white teachers at college. In my childhood, I was in Nigeria and I was bullied in the school because I was white. I know how it feels. Okay. Now, of all these, someone being mean to my mom while in the parking lot of Walmart, I guess because she was wearing hijab, assuming that my husband and I only had a high school education because of our looks. When I moved into my neighborhood, I was warned of where the black lived to avoid and to expect having police there a lot. Okay. The ones, all of them are obviously concerning and saddening. The ones where it comes from within, especially the people who call themselves followers of the Ahlul Bayt, those are the ones that are particularly hurtful and stings us particularly, because it's how far away that is from the akhlaq that they taught us and the perspective that they taught us. This story that I shared with you earlier about how Imam Sadiq alayhi salam rebuked that person who, kind of made fun of this darker skinned man or this black man because of his skin color, and his ethnicity, that's just one of many, many stories and incidents we have, and principles that the Ahlul Bayt taught us about how things like skin color and race and all these, like Islam came and it gave us a higher standard for understanding things and for value. Okay, well, thank you very much for your contribution. People often assume I don't speak English because I wear hijab. I was told to pray like a Sunni, or he would tell my mom and get mad. And okay, racist undertones in the Pakistani community, white skin, dark skin, not just the Pakistani community, others as well. Okay. So thank you so much. You can go ahead and continue adding your thoughts to that. I'm sure everyone's looking at that. Just wanted to mention a couple of things. So for next week, to privilege certain groups in our community. For example, at one mosque, only Khojas were allowed to sit in the first row. Yeah, that stings. Okay. So for next week, if anybody has any type of artwork or poems or short stories or anything else that you'd like to come up with regarding Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, or the Hawza, or also regarding Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'asuma, because the first of Dhul Qa'dah is narrated that it's her date of birth, and so anything regarding her or the Hawza of Qum, that would be awesome. Or if you want to continue along the same themes of like racism and oppression that we've been talking about over the last few weeks, or the ayah from today, then you can also share with that with us for next week. Well, thank you for participating. With that, inshallah, we are going to end. We're going to end our event for tonight. Please take care, everyone, and remember us in your du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.